You've come to the right place to rest your thoughts and settle into a gentle rhythm. Tonight, we're going to take a slow and quiet journey, not across great lands or stormy seas, but across the lines and scrolls of ancient maps. Maps, long ago, were more than just guides. They were dreams on parchment, hopes, guesses, and stories drawn in ink. So get cozy. Let the weight of the day slip away. You don't need to remember everything or anything at all. Just follow the slow sound of my voice as we wander softly through time, back to when the world was a mystery and someone tried to draw it. Before the map, a world known by memory, long before paper maps were drawn. The earliest paths were carved in the mind. Imagine a shepherd in Mesopotamia 5,000 years ago, marking the path of stars to find his way home. He doesn't need parchment. He knows the bend of the river, the feel of the soil beneath the fig tree, the spot where reeds part to let the wind through. Maps began as memory, told from mother to child, sung around firelight, traced with fingers on sand. There were no borders yet, no lines, only stories. Clay and compass, the first map makers of Babylon. Around 2300 BCE, someone pressed a stylus into clay, carefully, patiently shaping a city. This map, found in what is now Iraq, shows Babylon. Tiny wedges mark rivers, temples, roads. The writing? Cuneiform, small, neat, deliberate. The clay tablet isn't drawn to scale, but it doesn't need to be. The gods didn't care about scale. They cared about order. This tablet sits heavy in your hand, warm from the sun, cracked slightly with time, but still legible, still whispering how someone, long ago, saw the world around them. Egypt, mapping for the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, maps were not only for the living, they were for the dead. Tomb walls were painted with rivers, roads, and gates, so that the soul, after death, would not lose its way. Imagine a scribe with a fine brush, painting a map onto papyrus. The Nile winding in graceful curls, temples marked like shining beacons, monsters drawn in the corners, not for fear, but for warning. The gods were watching, and the maps were meant to please them, a sacred journey. A map not just of the land, but of eternity. Greek curiosity, the world as a circle. Now we move softly into the Greek world. Around 600 BCE, a philosopher named Anaximander imagined the earth as a circle, a flat disk floating in space, with land in the center and oceans ringing it like a silver belt. He sketched the known lands, Ionia, Lydia, Egypt, as patches of familiar earth in a sea of unknown. Later, men like Hecataeus would write more names, draw more guesses, adding new corners to the map with every tale from a sailor. Their maps weren't always right, but they were brave, and we think something lies beyond. Each mark on the parchment whispered, "We were here." Maps from the sea, sailors and memory. Now let's go to the docks, the salty smell of fish and tar, the creak of rope, the slow swaying rhythm of boats. Here, maps weren't inked, they were spoken. A Phoenician sailor, darkened by sun and salt, recites directions to his son. 3 days west, you'll see a mountain like a sleeping lion. Then sail south until the water tastes fresh. These are maps made of experience. Past like treasure, held in the heart. Some of these routes would one day be inked. But in the beginning, they were born of wind, stars, and faith. The Roman roads and scroll maps. As we move forward in time, we find ourselves walking beside a Roman road, long, straight, and purposeful. Romans were builders, and their maps reflected that. Not artful or mythical, but practical, measured in miles, marked with rest stops, towns, and water sources. One famous Roman map, the Tabula Peutingeriana, wasn't a square map at all. It was a long, thin scroll, like an ancient train route, almost 7 meters long. Picture a Roman courier unrolling it slowly on a wooden table, a line for each road, a dot for each city, and names written in fine Latin script, orderly, calm, clear. This was the map not of wonder, but of empire. A soft wind blows dust along the road beside you. Somewhere ahead, the stones stretch out forever to ancient China. China's water maps and painted scrolls. Now we glide quietly east. In the Han Dynasty, nearly 2,000 years ago, maps were painted on silk and bamboo. They weren't focused on borders, but on flow. Rivers, mountains, and canals danced across the scrolls like living things. Imagine a scholar in flowing robes, seated cross-legged on a lacquered floor. His ink brush glides silently across silk, each line a river, each shape a mountain. There's a rhythm to his work, delicate, thoughtful, as though he's listening to the land as he paints. Some maps showed water routes for merchants. Others were cosmological, charts of heaven and earth in harmony. To the Chinese mapmaker, the world wasn't something to conquer, but to understand. Islamic cartography and the art of geometry. Further along the Silk Road in medieval Baghdad or Damascus, you'd find the mapmakers of the Islamic Golden Age. Their maps were different, oriented with south at the top, lush with geometry, stars, and script. Scholars like Al-Idrisi created detailed maps from traveler accounts, carefully checked, lovingly copied. They used astrolabes, compasses, and mathematics, but also a sense of beauty. Maps were knowledge, but also art. In a small study lined with books, a cartographer dips his pen into black ink. He draws a delicate arc, the curve of a known coastline, and beside it, a calligraphic note. Perhaps not a fact, but a reminder. All knowledge belongs to the seeker. To a stone abbey in medieval England, the lamp flickers, the stars whisper above. Medieval Europe and the Mappa Mundi. Now we return westward. Here, a monk works slowly by candlelight. He's not mapping geography, but theology. The Mappa Mundi, map of the world, showed Jerusalem at the center, surrounded by lands shaped from stories. Dragons in the east, paradise in the south, and the known world drawn like a flower, each petal a continent. He mixes pigment from crushed berries and minerals. Blue for rivers, red for Rome, gold for the gates of heaven. This isn't a map to travel by. It's a map to feel wonder. A map for the soul, the end of the known world, and finally, we arrive at the edge of the known world. For many centuries, mapmakers simply left blank spaces beyond certain shores. Sometimes they wrote, "Here be dragons," but often they left it empty because they didn't know, and that was okay. To not know was to imagine, to guess, to wonder. Sometimes, in the corners of those maps, you'll find small ships sailing into the unknown, or creatures half seen or nothing at all. It was a quiet way of saying, there's still more, even now as your eyes grow heavier. There are always more shores to dream of. And so, dear listener, you've wandered softly through time, through memory maps and clay tablets, through starlit deserts and painted scrolls, past myths and mathematics. You followed the line of curiosity, drawn slowly, gently, across the parchment of the human story. Let that line carry you now into your own dreams, where the maps are not yet drawn. Let the stars guide you. The ink dry slowly, and the world, once more, be held in quiet wonder. Sleep well, and good night. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.